I just got off my first cruise with Margaritaville at sea. And there are some things that Margaritaville at sea isn't telling you.
JJ Cruise.
What's going on? My name's Jared. Jordan is booking your cruise vacations, and we are JJ Cruise. If you want to book your cruise vacation through us, go to jjcruise.com, fill out that booking form, and we are happy to help. Today, I'm going to tell you the things that we wish we would have known before going on our first Margaritaville at sea cruise. There are some things that we wish we would have known that wasn't told to us by the cruise line or by anyone else. And by the end of the video, if you are planning to go on Margaritaville at sea, you will learn some things that you are going to be glad you know before going on board. But before we get into it, please subscribe to the channel. Anything about cruise or cruise travel, we are your people. So please subscribe to the channel. It's free to you, means the world to us. And while you're at it, hit that thumbs up. Before getting on Margaritaville at sea, we had heard so much about this brand. That is the worst rated cruise line in America, that we are going to have the most miserable of times. And we're happy to say that that wasn't truly the case. We had a great time on our first ship, which is the Margaritaville at Sea Islander. This is the brand new cruise ship, brand new, meaning that it's new to the brand, but not new in the world of cruising. This is a previous Costa cruise ship that has been completely rebranded, renovated to be a Margaritaville at Sea cruise ship. This first thing is a complete secret, and in fact, most people on the maiden voyage had no clue this even existed until they got off the ship, and maybe still don't to this day. It is a private speakeasy that you have to be invited to go. If you look at the deck plan, there's this random area called QMN, and you kind of just disregard it because you don't know what that means. You just let it be. But if you're invited, if you get an invitation sent to your stateroom, you are able to go to this private, exclusive speakeasy. And inside the speakeasy is a bar full of different drinks that you can order, as well as some really cool memorabilia. The memorabilia includes that of the first ever guitar played on by Jimmy Buffett himself. This would have been an experience we wanted to experience, but we weren't invited, so unfortunately, we missed out. If you get on board your first time on the Islander, you might want to make nice with some of the crew, some of the bartenders, some of the staff, so that way you can get invited to this speakeasy experience. One misconception we had prior to coming on board the Islander was that the food was going to be inedible. We thought that since it's a budget cruise line that you really aren't paying for the food, you're really just paying to get to Cozumel on a cruise ship and back. And we had heard some bad things from the Paradise, the first ship for Margaritaville at sea. But that was completely not the case for us. We found the food to be okay to good at most times. Our main dining room experience in the Islander, which was the upstairs of the main dining room, was actually really good. The service was fantastic, but one thing that we really were not expecting was the fact that you had to pay extra for an additional entree. Most of the time in cruising, you don't have to do this unless if it's some specialty item like a lobster or a steak. But for this one, if you wanted any additional entree past the first entree, you would have to pay $7. This was something that we were not expecting. Luckily, you still could eat multiple appetizers or desserts. And so we really didn't have much of an issue with this, but we know this could be an issue for some expecting to eat a little bit more on their cruise vacation. If you didn't want to go to the main dining room, we found this out towards the end of our cruise. Most of the same food from the main dining room served that night will be found in the buffet as well. Now, this buffet is very limited, but what was there was mostly the main entrees. So if you are someone who does want to have an extra entree, here's a cruise tip or a cruise hack for you. Go upstairs after you eat in the main dining room, and you might be able to go ahead and have that additional entree free of charge without having to pay that $7 extra. We know a lot of you at home love to play in the casino when on your cruise vacation. We love to as well, so we always check out the casino program. Well, on Margaritaville at sea, the casino program is very unique. First and foremost, you have to get a secondary card. This may change in the future. They may be able to put it onto your SeaPass card or your key, but currently you have to go to the casino host and get a secondary card to gain points for rewards. We recommend doing this because if you get 2 points per day in the casino, you get free drinks while playing or in the casino at the casino bar. This was something that we thought was going to be super easy because usually points are 1 point for $5 or maybe 1 point for $2 of play. That is not the case on Margaritaville at Sea. Unfortunately, you do have a theoretical for slot play. Don't want to get into the weeds here, but it means that it's some magical number in the sky that the casino places on your bet level mixed with time of play to deem whether or not you deserve a point. We have seen this be anywhere as low as $200 to $300 in on a slot machine to upwards of $500 on a slot machine. It really depends on your time and bet level. This is normal for table players, but not normal for slot players in most casinos. And once we got those 2 points, we could get free drinks for the rest of that day. Now, I have to point this out. That is per day, not per cruise. So if you have a 4-night cruise like us, you have to get 8 points to have free drinks while playing in the casino for your entire cruise. This was something that we were able to obtain because we did have a budget for our casino play, but it's something that you should know not to play in the casino unless if you have the budget to do so and have fun while doing it. Definitely not worth it if you're just trying to get those free drinks. After a late night casino session, you might want to get a bite to eat. Well, Franco Lola's Pizzeria is the best pizza we have had on any mainstream cruise line yet. Yes, that means it's beating Norwegian Cruise Line, it's beating Carnival Cruise Line, and it's beating Royal Caribbean Cruise Line. This pizza dough is fantastic. It's light, it's airy, it's got a little crisp to it, as well as the ingredients and cheese just melt together in your mouth. It was such a fantastic bite to eat every time we went, and it's open till 2 a.m. every single night on board. Now, if you're someone that like a white pizza, you can actually order this by request. A lot of people didn't know this, so they just went with the regular cheese, pepperoni, or whatever their special was for the day, like mushroom. But you can ask for an entire white pizza if that is something that you need or you want to have instead of the red sauce. Although there were a lot of good things we found on board the Islander, we had some unfortunate findings as well. As of right now, there are no drinks allowed in the pool. This seemed wild to us because this is an American cruise line selling out of American ports. We see this in Europe where drinks aren't allowed on cruise ships, but in the US, especially against other mainstream cruise lines like Carnival Cruise Line or Royal Caribbean, drinks are normal in pools. In fact, Icon of the Seas, the world's largest or the world's biggest cruise ship, literally has a swim-up bar on their ship. It is a well-known thing that people love to have a cocktail or a drink while in the pool. It's only 4 feet deep, so we were very confused at why drinks weren't allowed in the pool, especially when the pool was already green. So when you're getting your cocktails outside of the pool, make sure you're ready to theme up for the theme nights while on board your cruise. And there are 2 of them that we experienced that we were not prepared for our cruise. Here's a cruise tip: bring your cowgirl boots, your cowgirl hats, as well as your Caribbean teas, because you have both a Boots and Bubbles party as well as a Caribbean theme night on board the Islander. Yes, Margaritaville Islander does Caribbean really well, but what we weren't expecting was this country party at night, including the country show, a country kind of hoedown, if you will, for dancing and line dancing. And a lot of hats and boots were worn across the ship. We wish we were a part of that, and we would have been if we just knew that these theme nights were going to occur. So definitely pack these up before you go so you can enjoy along with the rest of the crew. After partying all night with one of the theme parties, you want to have a really good breakfast the next morning, and you might want to get away from the crowds. Well, that's not going to be in the buffet, but there is one place that most people don't know is open for breakfast, and it is delicious. That is the Mexican Cutie Cantina. This is right outside the buffet on the opposite side of Cheeseburger in Paradise. And this Mexican breakfast spot is hidden and really unknown, so you can get something quick, go back to your room or go spend some time away from the crowds. Highly recommend this, especially on disembarkation day. When you're debarking your cruise ship, you can actually get a bite to eat at this unknown spot without having to manage the crowds and suitcases when debarking your ship. This next thing we wish we would have known is one that a lot of people are going to be disappointed by. And that's because a lot of people love to get into the spirit of their cruise. People buy these days a lot of magnets and decor for their door to make sure their door stands out, both so they can find it late at night when they're coming back home to their stateroom or cabin. Unfortunately for Margaritaville at Sea, there is no magnetic field. What I mean by that is there is no metal, there's nothing that a magnet would stick to. And we noticed this quickly because everyone started stuffing their stuff into the little porthole that is on the door. I should say it just a little eye hole in the door instead of putting it all over the door. We tried our magnets ourselves and they didn't work. They fell straight to the floor. So do not buy a bunch of magnets or bring a bunch of magnets. You will be sorely disappointed when going on board your ship and not being able to use them on your door as decor. This last thing we think is fantastic, and we wish all the cruise lines did, but this one man felt scammed. He felt taken. He felt like the cruise line was in the wrong. And that was, you cannot remove your gratuities on board Margaritaville at Sea. A lot of people know tips or auto gratuities, prepaid gratuities are usual. They're common in the cruise space. And this is to pay the crew. The crew deserve to have a good wage. There's a lot of debate on if there should be no tipping and just a higher wage for the crew, or if that tipping is not enough and you should tip more. But at the end of the day, what is normal and what is common practice is to have an auto gratuity added to your bill when you're on board a cruise ship. That's no different from Margaritaville at Sea, but different than other cruise lines, you cannot take it off. Some other cruise lines let you go to guest services and take off your gratuities if you weren't happy with your service. But for this cruise line, they aren't letting you do it. And that man was ticked that he couldn't take them off. That is our what you need to know before sailing on Margaritaville at Sea. Let us know in the comments below. What are your thoughts? Do you find that Margaritaville at Sea is a cruise line that you want to try out? Are you planning or booked on Margaritaville at Sea? And also, have you done the Paradise? Is it much compared to that of the Islander? We've heard some good, we've heard some bad. Would love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. And if you have any tips, if you've already sailed on this cruise line. Thanks so much for joining us. And until next time, see ya.